Hey, this is Earl Harville at Earl Harville Voice coming to you today. Sporting my Wendy and Lisa t-shirt because I loves me some Wendy and Lisa. Today I want to talk about a real big passion of mine. Background singing, background singers. I love great background singing. I love great background vocals, great harmonies. I've always, since I was a kid, really paid a lot of attention to what was going on in the background and not just the lead voice. And it was really interesting because one of my biggest vocal heroes, Luther Vandross, talked about that he too, as a kid, would listen to these records and his ear would gravitate toward these background vocals, all these harmonies, what was going on to support the lead voice. I never lost that. As a kid, as an early teenager, when I was singing along with records, I wasn't just going to try to sing along with the lead vocal part, but I was trying to learn all the harmonies. I would sit and try to learn all of the background vocal parts. And at church, when I was sitting, before I was singing a lot in the choir, when I would be sitting on the pews, I would listen to the senior choir and listen to all the parts. So not just the soprano part where the melody was, but what was going on in the alto and tenor parts that supported what that melody part was doing. That's always been a huge passion of mine. I absolutely love it. One of my very first concert was a Luther Vandross concert, and I remember being so blown away, not just by Luther, who was just incredible, but about these incredible background singers. Lisa Fisher, Alpha Anderson, Paulette McWilliams, and Kevin Owens, I believe, were the singers on that show. And I was just blown away by the richness of what these voices did behind him. And of course, I've gone on, and anybody who knows me knows that I am just the biggest Luther fan and a huge fan of his background singers. So Cindy Mizell and Tawatha Agee and Cissy Houston and Valerie Pinkston and Paulette McWilliams and Brenda White King and Fonte Thornton and all these phenomenal singers who made Luther's records, gave that extra shine to Luther's records and his live shows. When I think about some great concerts that I've seen the DVDs of in the last few years, almost all of these shows had fantastic background singers that helped just elevate the show to another level. Beyonce with the Mamas, Pink with Stacey Campbell and Jenny Douglas McCrae, Justin Timberlake's Future Sex Love Show. Those background vocalists were just kicking, including my boy Rob Stevenson. It just elevated the music and the show to another level. If you have a desire to be a background singer, there's some definitely some things that you need to have in place to ensure success. One is you've got to have great musical ears. You've got to be able to hear harmonies. You've got to be able to understand how the part that you're given fits into the whole. Sometimes you may be asked, to kind of jump in and start creating your own part. And your ears have got to be really solid and very quick. For me, again, part of developing that was singing in church. Once you're singing in a church choir and you're in rehearsals, your ear just starts to acclimate and you start understanding kind of how your parts generally fit together. And so you just start to be able to anticipate where your part will fit in. In addition to, again, listening to all those records as a kid and singing along and singing to all the parts and seeing if I could find all those parts. So a great musical ear is so very important. An ability to morph and be a chameleon is hugely important as well. If you're going to be employable, you want to be as diverse as possible so that you can get as many jobs. If you look at someone like Lisa Fisher, who would go from singing with Luther and Shaka, and now has been singing behind the Rolling Stones for years, and then does gigs with Sting and with jazz artists. Her voice is able to kind of go everywhere. She's able to morph and be this chameleon. Same thing with Cindy Mizell. They are very employable because they know how to shift gears. Stacey Campbell is another. They're able to switch gears. They're able to change sounds and timbres to be able to fit these different styles of music. That's hugely important. You have to be a team player. You're not the star as the background singer. You can still shine very much, but you're not the star. So you've got to be able to work with whoever the lead artist is, and if there are other background singers, and how to be able to be a cohesive unit with them and with the band, and maybe with dancers and the crew. You've got to be a team player. You've got to know what your lane is in that particular situation, and then shine there. Be your best. Good vocal technique, super important. If you're going to be dependable on stage every night, doing somewhere between 3 to 6 shows a week on the road, or maybe when you're not sleeping well and you know conditions aren't always favorable, your voice has got to be there, and it's got to deliver. And you don't have the luxury of getting sick. You have got to have a vocal technique that can withstand and allow you to get through, what could be vigorous vocal parts, depending on the nature of the music in the show, and being aware of vocal health and how to take care of your voice. How much sleep you're going to need, how to adjust when you don't get the optimal amount of sleep. You have to know how much hydration you're going to need, and what do you need to do in terms of keeping your throat protected, how to eat on the road, taking care of your body on the road. All these things are super important because, again, you don't have the luxury of being sick. You've got to be able to deliver. I just think background vocalists are the supreme vocal athletes, and I love them to death. I give them the grandest props because, honestly, a lot of times background vocalists have been actually better singers in terms of the mere vocal instrument than the people that they back up quite often. But they also have to have enough humility to know that it's not about them being in the front. Again, it's about what they are able to give to the artist that they're working for. Lisa Fisher says some really profound things in 20 Feet from Stardom about that, because she's someone who's had success in the front as a solo artist, but decided that she really feels like her zone is when she's blessing other artists with her incredible instrument. This was just me kind of pontificating on a love of mine, and that's background singing and background vocalists. Again, I have such incredible respect for what they bring, and I love to see that even though we're not hearing as many background singers on records because a lot of artists are doing it themselves or that kind of thing, it's great to see that on in these live shows and on tours we're still singing great background singers, and I want to see that continue. If you are an artist who's doing your own stuff and you're recording and you're doing your own background vocals, I challenge you to, when you're recording your background vocals, to make sure that you're thinking like a background vocalist and you're not thinking like the lead singer, because I think that will affect your approach to filling out those background vocal parts in a way that supports the lead vocal, but it gives it a different color and different flavor, but enhances it. I always think about how Prince approached his background vocals, or when Janet Jackson. One of the things I love about Janet Jackson records is that she would do the bulk of her own background vocals, and I love how her own voice fit underneath there. So anyway, that's just me kind of talking about something that I really, really love. So anywho, I'm out of here. Bye.